You're here because you want to learn more about why the United States economy seems to have an elevated price level, why there's continuous inflation, why things are still so expensive, and it's just not getting any more affordable in the United States. My name's Adam Scott, financial professional, master teacher, and multi-million-dollar entrepreneur. We're going to get into that right now. Now, to understand some of this, we're going to talk about policies from the COVID era in 2020. But before we get into that, we need to learn about an economic concept called the exchange equation. The exchange equation consists of four variables, and we're going to unpack what each one of those things means: M, V, P, and Y. The exchange equation indicates that M times V is equal to P times Y. What does that mean? M is equal to the money supply. The money supply is cash in circulation as well as cash on balance sheets in bank accounts and bank reserves. So if those reserves change, M is going to change. V is the velocity of money. The velocity of money is the concept that money changes hands as things are purchased. If more purchases are made, the velocity or the number of times that money changes hands increases. If purchases decrease, money typically has a lower velocity and goes through the economy at a slower rate. P is the price level. As the price level changes, that's what consumers see. If the price level goes up, that means inflation. If the price level goes down, that means deflation is taking place. So as the price level changes, you're going to feel it as the consumer. Y is equal to the sum total of all goods and services produced in an economy in 1 year. So what does all of this mean? It means that if variables on either side of the equation change, it's going to impact other ones. If M goes up or down, it's going to impact the product of P times Y because of the nature of the exchange equation. This is where we start connecting to the COVID era policies. Going back to 2020, we saw the United States Congress embark upon a fiscal policy plan where it spends money or injected money directly into the economy. And we saw the Federal Reserve banking system embark upon a policy of creating loose money reserves for the banking system. Let's explore how those ideas impacted the exchange equation and how it's affecting you directly today. Between 2020 and 2022, the money supply rose from about $15 trillion in bank reserves to about $21 to $22 trillion in bank reserves. What this does is this dramatically increases the value of M. Now we understand how math works. So if M increases, M times V is now going to be a larger value. Thus, P times Y is going to increase. And you're saying like, all right, Adam, I'm not a math person. If there's more money in bank reserves, what's going to happen is it's going to elevate typically the price level as long as there's no change in productivity. And that is what tended to happen during the COVID era. Supply chains were constrained, productivity decreased, like there was fewer things being bought and sold. And so the only variable on the right-hand side of that equation that can change is P, which is the price level. And that is what you feel directly when you go to the store. If the price level is higher, you see it at the grocery store. You see it when you go try to buy something for your kids for their birthday. That is the consequence of M increasing without Y changing. So around the same time, the United States Congress was enacting expansionary fiscal policy to try to inject spending in the economy. What that means is the US government passed a series of laws that put money into the hands of people or businesses. Throughout the course of the COVID era, it was about roughly $1 or $2 trillion. That goes into the hands of individuals and it goes into the hands of businesses. Most of that money, based on the way the United States budget works, is borrowed from either future generations or foreign countries. When that happens, two things occur. Either P or Y is going to increase. If the money goes into the economy and takes up excess slack, when people are not working because of a recession or businesses have laid people off, then what's going to happen is Y is going to increase. Productivity is going to go up. However, during the COVID era, many people chose to not go into work for 2, possibly 3 years. And regardless of why that happened, what it caused was a decrease in productivity. If the productivity does not increase, the only variable on that side of the equation that can increase is P. So that means the price level has to go up. Thus, you have a double effect. You have M increasing and you have P increasing. And what you're getting is two mathematical factors that are pushing up the price level and all this excess cash in the United States to where the price level stays elevated. And it has to stay elevated until productivity can catch up. That's actually what we see ourselves in right now in the US. We see ourselves in a cash flush era. However, productivity tends to not be increasing. So again, what does this mean for you? It means groceries are more expensive. It means housing prices probably aren't going to come down. It means energy seems more expensive. And the reason for that is there's just too much darn money in the economy that is causing those prices to stay up because productivity has not increased. Before we talk about a potential solution, I have to address a potential critique because I get it all the time. People say, Adam, what about CEOs? They're making so much money. It's unfair. They make hundreds of millions of dollars and the average worker makes not that much. So here's the answer to that critique. Yes, while CEOs are making a lot more money than the average worker, if you add up all of the compensation of those CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies, it's roughly $15 to $20 billion. Like, I get it. That's a lot of money. But the United States economy is in the $20 plus trillion category. It's about 0.7% of the US economy. So even if all of the CEOs worked for free every single year, that's not going to fix the money issue in the economy and the pricing issue. It would give maybe a few $100s to every person in the United States. And look, I understand that would be helpful to some people and many people. However, that's not going to fix the systemic problem, which is there is too much cash, there is too much bank reserve, there is too much spending that has been injected into the economy and not enough production. So what is the potential solution? One of the primary solutions that I see is that the United States needs to increase production. It needs to increase production of housing. It needs to increase production of energy. It needs to increase the productivity of labor. Because once production catches up with these stagnant COVID years where people didn't work for like 2 years, then the exchange equation will balance out and that excess cash reserve that's in the banking system will eventually begin to be absorbed and that price level can come down or at least stabilize at somewhat of a normal level to reflect hopefully that productivity increase. Additionally, most likely the US government and the Federal Reserve needs to pursue a tight money policy. They need to consider reducing spending and they need to consider restraining cash infusions into the banking system because when that happens, it's going to reinforce the same problem. So consider how this all connects and how it impacts you directly because it very much does. Until these things change, most likely you're probably going to see prices remain elevated and your life be pretty dang frustrating. My name's Adam Scott. I'm glad you're here. Let me know what questions you have, how else I can help. I'll see you next time.